listening to AchieveRadio.com. A new drummer for a new awakening.
Across the realms and around the world, welcome to Outside the Box. Tonight, your host and vessel of spirit is Nancy Zilversmit. We hope that you will learn to have the strength and courage to step outside the box and dwell with spirit, and to leave the old beliefs that hold you down behind you and rediscover your spirituality in new ways.
Hello, it's 11th. 2015. This is Nancy Zilversmit, and the show is sponsored by Sanctuary of Sacred Space. The website is www.sanctuaryofsacredspace.com. Okay, this has been 2 years that I've been away on hiatus. We'll talk a little bit about why later on, but I'm going to go right ahead and get into the calendar of events, upcoming things that I am working at, where you can meet me in person. And I have a psychic fair this Saturday from 12 noon to 6 p.m. on March 14th at Melting Heart. And it's a boutique, and it is at 702 West Camelback Road, Suite 12 on the north side of the building. And it's there's going to be more than just me there. There's going to be several psychics there, and it's going to be $20 for 15 minutes. And that's the starting rate. Also at Melting Heart, I work there every Friday and Saturday now. And so I do readings from 12 to 5 every Friday and Saturday. You can either book an appointment or just drop in and check out the boutique and get a reading. Or just sit down and have some spiritual counseling and meet me in face-to-face. Okay, we have an event coming up. It's a healing event, and it is group vibrational sound healing. That's where we get out the drums, we get out the crystal bowls, the brass bowls, not the rattlesnakes, but yes, wrong church. The rain sticks and tuning forks and all kinds of sound equipment. We have somebody that's coming that has a harp. And anyway, we use the vibration of the sound to clear the room, to clear your energy, to make you relax, to allow you to travel into meditation. If you're not playing the instruments, you don't have to know how to play the instruments. You will by the end of the night, and you can switch off. I do provide the instruments, so you're welcome to come down for that. That's a $10 donation fee at the door, and that is on March 16th. That is a Monday at 6:30 p.m. Okay, at a different location, I'll be teaching dowsing with dowsing rods and pendulums. It's a make and take. It's from 10 a.m. to 12 on Saturday, March 21st at Harmony in Phoenix, which is at 1522 West Encanto. That's 15th Avenue and Encanto Boulevard in Phoenix. Also, on March 23rd, we have group readings night at 6:30 p.m. That will be at the Melting Heart. It's $20 at the door. What you'd get is you get me for 2 or 3 hours with a group. Everybody gets a reading. These are very fun events. Spirit says what it has to say. It's my spirit guides and angels, your spirit guides and angels. It could be people from the other side that you know, and they make themselves known in the room and they give a message. So if you want to do that, that will be at Melting Heart. So onward, where have I been for the last 2 years? Well, 2 years ago in 2013, in February, I ended up in the hospital. I almost lost my life because of incompetency of doctors, and with a problem that I had 25 years before. And so I was recovering from that. I was going to start getting the radio show back up, and then my husband died 2 months later. And I decided, well, I have more important things to take care of right now. So I spent the first year basically taking care of all the bills and the family else. And the second year, basically surviving until widow's Social Security kicks in, which you just don't automatically get unless you have a minor child or you're disabled. So I had to wait until I hit the ripe old age of 60. And so that starts up soon. And I also had a relationship for a while, and it turned out it was not what I needed in my life. And I was trying to manifest work and getting things going and being able to support myself, which I was doing fine for the last 2 years. Spirit kept me in the black. Life insurance went out the first year paying off bills, and then Spirit kept me in the black every month, right up to the current time, and always bringing me some work. I sold my stuff on eBay, opened an eBay store, and very, very nice things were happening. But I had a relationship going on that was what I would consider toxic, and I decided to finally just say, you know what, we're done. And when I did that, the work came. And this is just in a very short time. In about the past 4 weeks, I picked up work at 2 places. I teaching classes, got events going. The people asked for me to work, and then I started getting referrals. And I decided it was time to get the radio show back on. So everything just fell into place. And so that's what I've been doing for 2 years. But the thing is that when you want to manifest something, sometimes you have to drop some things out of your life. With me, it's getting rid of the clutter in my life, and the clutter is all the junk I've accumulated over the years. I asked my kids, I said, when I drop dead or die or whatever, they really didn't want to think about it. I said, what do you want me to do? What do you want of my things? And 3 of them spoke up and said, absolutely nothing. And I went, okay. I'm selling my stuff. And one said she wants the Salvador Dali, and one son said he wants the house. So everybody else said we don't want anything. And I went, okay, I'm selling everything, and that's what I'm going to support myself with. And Spirit put that in my lap, and it did just fine. So manifestation, sometimes it requires that you let go of what you've got going on in your life. And another thing is that I'd been paying off debts actually for years, but when my husband died, I got rid of a lot of stuff. And Spirit had a weird way of manifesting things. I had gotten into Dave Ramsey. I had already been doing his steps for financial freedom. And clearing up debt, been doing that for years. And I wanted to go see him speak personally. And I asked my oldest daughter, I said, you know, the tickets are coming up on sale. I know you guys are going. I'd like to go with you. Could you put up the money? And I'll pay you in a couple weeks. And because I knew I had money coming in. And they said no. And I went, okay, then I'm not going. And later got an email, because I'm on the email list, and would you like to be a volunteer? I went, oh, hell yes. And I got picked to be a volunteer. So I'm going to the same event for free and working before the event and on the break. And then I get lunch and breakfast with it. And I get to go for free. So I was meant to go to that. So manifesting little things, manifesting big things. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, cleaning things up, letting things go, and manifesting, and getting back to work with Spirit. So I'm going to talk about several subjects tonight, and I'm going to have to keep putting my screen back up because I'm using 2 computers. We had a little bit of a problem before the show. My Windows 8 decided it was not going to connect to the internet, so hooked up old trusty Windows 7 and the Mac for my main screen, and here we are. So I will probably be signing that back in a few times if it falls asleep and I forget to move the mouse. So anyway, a lot of things to talk about today. What I'm going to do with the show is if I get people calling in live or in quicking, then I will go ahead and take readings the second half hour. If not, then I have more things to talk about, which I always do. And I do have some people off of Facebook that did give me requests for reading and one email. So we actually will have readings today. It just will be ones that were set up ahead of the show. So what am I going to talk about today? Well, I've had several things happen in the last couple of years. I've only been taking people by referral only. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep looking at the side because that's where my other screen is. I have one screen in front of me and the other one with the camera on the side. But the thing is that when I get my referrals, sometimes they're a good thing, sometimes they're not a good thing. And sometimes there's things that you should not be talking to a psychic about. You should not be consulting a psychic. It's like, okay, the first person was texting me. They were actually texting me, and they're going, "Oh, I need your help. I have this and I have that going on, and I have a boyfriend who lives with me, and I've got a woman, and we're afraid that she's going to do something to harm us. Is there something you can do to get her away from us?" I said, "Sure, I'm going to give you some advice. You do not need to be talking to me. I'm not going to wave some magic spell or anything. I'll pray for you, but you know what? You need to take some action on that. And I've learned this over the years. You have to take action on things." I said, "Get your butt down. Get yourself a court order of protection if you are afraid of bodily harm. Do not be asking a psychic. Do not go to a bruja. Do not go to a witch, and think that all that's going to help you. You can do that on the side if you want, but take the action that you need to take and get down to get a court order." Well, she's like, "Well, I don't want to be causing more drama and making it worse than it is." And I said, "What's going to cause more drama is you didn't take care of the problem, okay? And somebody could get hurt. It's less drama to go down there, put a court order of protection on somebody. It doesn't cost you anything. It might cost a little bit to get served, to serve the person. But if that person is making you fear for your safety or for your life, what do you think is the more drama? You having to live in fear and knowing that this person has threatened you, or are you going to put a court order of protection? Don't come to a psychic when you need that. Okay, go down, take care of it." So another thing I had was another text, and they just love to text, or they'll PM me on Facebook, is that what should I do? I am having problems. And we got rid of the person that was living with us, and I'm still having physical problems, and I'm having headaches, and I'm having exhaustion, I'm having all these other things. I said, "Well, you do have insurance. Take your butt to your doctor." It's like, even I will go to a doctor. That's another thing. We'll rant on that another time. But anyway, Obamacare and all that. But the thing is that if you have a problem, go to a medical doctor, rule out whether or not it's biological. If it's not biological, if it's not mental, if you don't need therapy, then we'll look at it spiritually. But I want you to go see a doctor first. And she went, "Well, thank you, I'm going. I will be on their office on Monday." So she's going to have her issues ruled out, whether or not it's a medical problem. If it is, the doctor will take care of it if it's a medical problem. If not, she can contact me once again. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today was ethics. Oh my God. I have been having problems with people contacting me. And well, I had one that contacted me and decided, and I have the letter here, handwritten letter. The woman cannot spell with a darn. Anyway, she was first referred to me to be in a tarot class, and I had started teaching again last year. And the person that referred her was the head of one of the places where I do teach, and I have been teaching for years. And she said, "Well, I don't want to be in a class. I want private, but I don't want to start till after the first of the year." So after the first of the year, she contacted me again and went, "Okay, I don't want to do it right now. We'll do it in a couple months." And I went, "Fine. I've got classes starting down the line. That's fine," because I was already starting to establish things with the manifestation. And then she wrote me a letter and said, "You know what? I don't want to take a class. That's fine with me, but I'd like a reading, and I don't want it to be on my love life. And because I'm 41 and I don't really want to deal with men." And it's just like, oh my God. So young. Anyway, and she says, I'm too busy anyway. I don't want to take a class. So I would like to send you $100 to $200, and I would like to get in contact with Edward Kennedy. And I just went, oh crap. And plus then she wanted some of the usual reading stuff. But you know, you don't set the price when you contact a psychic, for one. That's not ethical. And you don't tell them what you want to do if they haven't accepted you as a client. And I hadn't accepted this person as a client. So I decided I'm going to take the weekend and I'm going to think about it. Well, come Monday, I got another letter with $40 in it. And it's just like, and it's like basically she's decided I'm going to do this whether I want to or not. And she restated that she would like a medium reading on Senator Edward Kennedy. She was no longer interested in anything else in her life. And it's just like, whoa, okay, because I read that and I dropped the letter and I had, the senator coming through and he's like, I don't care to speak to this person. I have better things to do. I have moved on. And yeah, there's no reason why this person should be in contact with me. So what I did is I packed up the $40 with a nice little note that he is not going to speak to you. And it happens sometimes. And the other thing is that I'm glad to hear you're busy. Here's your money back. If you want a reading, go through the proper channels when I am open to the public. And basically, I told her where she could get a hold of me in a public place, since I do readings in a public place. And it's basically, here's your money back, because I did not accept you as a client. And I don't feel like I should be taking you as a client at this time, not for what you want. And people just seem to think sometimes they can order psychics around, and it doesn't work that way, especially spirit doesn't want to cooperate with it. And especially when you're opening something and it just kind of falls out of your hands like it's a hot potato, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's a good sign, not supposed to deal with this person. And I am all for that. I did not wish to deal with her either. Okay, so I have another little situation that came up recently, and this one came in through the email. And a woman wrote me, said she had listened to my archives. People are still listening to my archives. It's been 2 years. And I still get people that write me every once in a while about that. Or they suddenly find me on Facebook and say, yeah, I listened to your archives. What happened to your radio show? Well, it'll be back on the air eventually. So here we are. And she wrote me this a few weeks ago, and I decided I'm going to hang on to this because I had already decided that I was going to make arrangements to get back on the air when it was time. And she said, I am not sure about this kind of stuff, but I guess I never been really exposed to the whole talking to your spirit guides and etc. But I stumbled across some podcast of Outside the Box and listening. I guess I'm not hard to find. Anyway, she said, I've always had a great fear of dealing with mediums or psychics. They freak me out. My husband was told by someone who had that ability. So she went to see a psychic or a medium, and he was told that he would die before he was 29. And he committed suicide at the age of 28. So for me at this time, I've now become a Christian. I'm in recovery. She doesn't say what for, if it's drugs or if it's a mental issue or if it's alcohol, but she's in recovery. And I just want to see if you have any insight for me. I believe in angels and whatnot, and I also believe that you can open doors to Satan and evil spirits, and that's not my intention. Well, the problem I have with that ethically is the fact that somebody told somebody that they were going to die. Well, we all die, okay? We all die. None of us get out of it. But they told him that by a certain age, he would be dead. And really, should you be telling people they're going to die at a certain time? Instead of really looking at this person, if you really looked at this person, and if you were a real psychic, would you not be able to see that this person was having some problems in their life, that they were having some issues? Would you not advise them instead to get some help? And it's just like, what the heck did this person do? And so telling a person he's going to die by the age of 29, he's obviously got issues. He committed suicide by the time he was 28. Instead of being able to get and continue on that psychic, was extremely unethical. And wow. Some people. I've got Pam in Indiana. She's texting me on the InQuick, and she says, "Get to hear some of your show live." Oh yes, thank you. She says it's good to hear your voice again. Thank you, Pam. Pam in Indiana. She's been interviewed on the show many times over the years, and she was a student of mine back when I first opened my first shop in Glendale, long time ago. And we're talking over a decade. So let's see here. Notes. Okay, see my notes. What else do we have going on here? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about visions. Pay attention to your visions and your dreams, is what I'd like to tell people. Pay attention. Sometimes we don't understand what the heck they're about when they're going on or when they've just happened, and I tend to have that happen a lot. It's like, okay, I'm remembering what you just showed me or told me or whatever it was. In this case, it was a full vision with sound and everything else during meditation. It was like a little running movie. And anyway, during the meditation, I was walking through an old time town, and it to see this line of deer. There were 2 deer and a mountain lion. 1 mountain lion, 2 deer. Okay, and I look again, and then it's suddenly gone. And then it appears solid. And I'm going, what the heck was that about? And it happened in different locations again and again in the town. Anyway, I went out with my daughter to a grocery store, and I hear over the loudspeakers that this guy's doing a demo up at the front. And I went, okay, let's just go see what this guy's got because he's offering a freebie. Okay, we got a free chamois. Woo, you can always use another cleaning cloth. But he's showing us these heating pads, and they're all different sizes, and you get the whole shebang for, I think it was $25, where it would have been 100 and something online. But they were heating pads, and they were chemical, and he held it up, and he twisted it real quick and hit a little metal thing that was inside of it, and suddenly what was invisible became visible. And I looked at it, and I went, oh, okay. And he says, well, and then afterwards you dip it in hot water when you're done with it, and it goes clear again. And I went, that was the meditation vision. Seen, not seen, seen, solid. And it's just like, okay, what is unseen will be seen. That was the message. And I bought the heating pads. And I used them on a couple of people since. And it's just like really neat because I don't have to plug it in anywhere. I just have to twist it and use it, and then I can return it back to its original state. So sometimes the visions are just totally out there, but it's something you can understand even though you don't know what the heck it is. And this happened the same day I got the vision. So it's just like, okay, then I know what that is, and I'm going to go purchase that sucker. And then went on with my grocery shopping. But anyway, another one that happened was, and it was a much longer one, and it was a vision in meditation, and I was like living in a close-knit society, and this was extremely visual. I mean, we're talking like high definition 3D movie type visual, and this was. It happened in a very short time, though it seemed like it was a long period of time because I wasn't down for meditation that long. And there were several small rooms, and there was larger community rooms in this society. Food was not a satisfying thing, so they asked a group of 5 of us to go hunt some food. And we separated during the hunt, and I hunted, and I gathered, and I went out and gathered up everything, and I went to the prearranged area and started cooking it all. Skinned the animals, cooked them, did the grains, did the fruit and everything. And I'm taking care of this stuff, and I had wild pig and fish and wild fowl and all this other stuff, and a lot of abundance. So the theme of that one was abundance. This was before all the manifestation stuff started happening, and then the others that I was supposedly out to be hunting with that had separated from me and decided they were going to go as a group and do their thing, they show up and they've got nothing. And it's just like, okay, they're empty-handed. I'll just share what I have. And I shared what I had, and I looked at them, and they had black eyes, and it's just like, okay, you guys have black eyes. So I know who you are. And they're not mine, but I know who they are. And I shared the food, and they sit there and they couldn't believe, what am I doing with all this abundance? And they have nothing. And that did manifest also, because a person I know that has his own spirits and their entities, and he likes to deal with the dark stuff, he can never get ahead. He never has abundance. He can never get ahead, and it's just. But anyway, it happens. It happens. I'm going to tell a couple more stories, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of the requested readings that were requested. Well, I got a couple other things too. But anyway, we seem to have a lot of time, and I don't see callers on hold, so I'm going to go on with stories. And I love to tell stories. I just had an interview last Saturday. One of the places that I work at, the Melting Heart, asked me to do an interview, and the owner is actually, I had discussed, with her some of the classes that I teach, and she said, "Well, what's the advanced healing class?" I said, "That's exorcism, possession." She said, "I don't want any of that in my shop." I said, "That's okay. It doesn't have to be." She doesn't seem to know that when we do vibrational sound therapy or releasement therapy, it's pretty much the same thing, just in a different format. And those are okay. So those are scheduled to happen anyway. So what happens during that time. But the thing is that we start talking. We have a cameraman that comes in, and he does a whole background on you before you get interviewed, and he gives her the questions. And he's also the producer and handles everything. The producer, the editor, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's going to end up on YouTube in a couple weeks. He wanted to know about the exorcism stuff. They asked me some questions. How did you get started? What is it you do? Blah, 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 blah. And I just listed off everything very rapidly and talked about it. And then they started asking some more in-depth questions. Well, instead of asking questions about psychic and healing and readings and stuff like that, he wanted the questions about the exorcism. So it's just like, okay then. So I told stories. I don't know how they're going to edit it down. The interview was a half hour. It'll be edited to no longer than 15 minutes. When it's out there, I'll let you know. And I'll also post a link to it on my website, at Sanctuary of Sacred Space. So interesting stuff. So I'm seeing spirit, because I could feel spirit when I was going through that interview. I could feel this heat going up my back when this guy was asking questions. So it's like, yeah, it's going to happen one way or the other. We're going to eventually have a class. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So I was contacted by somebody who had some entity problems, and it was like two families living in a house, a lady and her child, and they were the ones being affected, and then another couple and their kids, and they were not being affected, even though the husband was a skeptic. He also had been seeing things by the time we got through the family interview, before I go in and clear the house and clear the people. And what they were doing is that the one lady with her son, they were blaming somebody was witchcrafting them. And it's just like, well, yeah, that seems to be the general thing. People point fingers elsewhere. And a lot of times that's not actually what's going on. So the I went through a phone interview with her and a little bit in person too, and because she had contacted me at the boutique where I work, and she gave me a little bit of explanation. She gave me more on the phone along with directions, and I told her, now that you've told me this, there's going to be one of two things that's going to happen. It's either going to go very, very silent, or it's going to get much worse. Well, in the first place, she had a 2-year-old, and she had this entity that was in her bedroom that would wake her up in the middle of the night and just do things. Do the touchy-feely, growl, threaten, blah, 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 eyes. And the 2-year-old would wake up when this happened and point and say, no, 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 you go, you don't belong, no. And so the 2-year-old was seeing this stuff. So anyway, the night before I arrived, the 2-year-old woke up with a nosebleed in the middle of the night. And that was the minor thing. And I took pictures when I got there. She said in the middle of the night, they were woke up by a sudden bang and a shattering of glass. They had a very thick glass table right next to the bed. And you can see the hit mark on it. And the hit mark is where the thing had struck the table and broke it. And it was just cracked. And they usually would, they had a little altar there. They had altars throughout this house. So it wasn't that they didn't have any faith. They had altars, and they did a lot of praying and stuff. But, yeah, you could see where this hand that nobody could see and the entity couldn't see, it knew it was going to be evacuated the next day. It was gone. It was going to be gone. And it was pissed. It was really, really pissed. And did go and take care of that the next day without incident. And they haven't had a problem since. So what do we have here? Going to have to bring up really quick. People were putting it on Facebook, what they wanted me to read for them. And I did say that I would do that for them. And if you one second here, and I will bring that up. Because of the little computer emergencies, I didn't get to bring that up and print that out because I was running like crazy. Okay, so here's the comments. All right. This is from Angela. I have a question. What's going to go on with my job as a CSR? And I had to ask her, what the heck is a CSR? Because I know you probably have a specific definition of that, but CSR could be many, many things. So she wrote me back. She said, customer service representative. And I went, okay. Yeah, I'll answer that on the phone and online. So we're going to go ahead and do that reading. I do use cards for these kind of readings. The one thing that I don't use cards for is sometimes when I'm doing a mediumship thing, or if I'm going through somebody's house and I've got spirit doing a lot of talking and other things going on, or entities yelling at me or whatever. Those I don't use cards for. I use spirit to communicate with me as to what's going on. But here we have a question that's about a life situation and what is going on with her job. She says she can't figure it out. And I mean, Angela's been on the show before. She's also a longtime student and a medium and a psychic. And lately I've had a lot of those people that have the ability but have been asking me questions because they're either doubting themselves or they're not getting the right answer. So anyway, the cards that I'm getting on that is meditation card, and that there's going to be something better out there. And she just needs to, when she does that meditation, cue herself in for energy from the earth when she does that. Because obviously there might be some other things going on and she has a weird feeling that she's concerned about. I know, I've done that with spirit too. And usually when I say, I have a concern to spirit, something happens very, very quickly. And there's been some horseplay going on, and you are going to have to look at the fact that it may go up in flames, and it's going to be very, very high tension, high stress. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to know, you know what, prepare, because if you are already getting the weird feeling and you're concerned about it, and you need to prepare. It's like actually before I went into the hospital 2 years ago, I got very busy storing things, putting food aside, canning, dehydrating, making sure my pantry was full, making sure stuff was there. And what happened when my husband died is that the stuff was there because the money wasn't for a while. So it's like, if you have that feeling that something is going to happen, prepare. And that's what they're saying. And that way, when something does happen, if it's a good thing, hallelujah. If it's not a good thing, then you are prepared. You will survive. And they're saying, you know what? You are a valuable treasure. Your heart has always been with Spirit. You've made the sacrifices all the time. We will take care of you no matter what. Just purify yourself of the negative that comes forward, and know that we will help you with the survival. We always have. There's always been obstacles, and we are there. Okay? So prepare. You have a concern, be prepared. It's like every time I've had a concern. I worked out of a place years ago, and I had a concern. And a week later, I was in another place and of my own, and they shut down. It's just like, I have a concern. And when I have a concern, I put it to Spirit. I have a concern. It's like something's going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to be positive or negative. In that case, it was positive because I got my own place, and it was negative because the other place went out of business. And, it's just like when you get those concerns, pay attention to them. Really, really pay attention to them. Okay. And that's for everybody. That's not just for Angela. That's for everybody. Know that sometimes we have to deal with things like that. And pay attention to those little prods by Spirit. We call it intuition or inner voice, but sometimes it's a little prod by Spirit. Okay. We have, let's see, from Catherine Earl. Maybe you can talk about. Okay, she has a question for a reading, but she also has a question for me to talk about. She said, maybe you can talk about what's happening when you are just starting to fall asleep, and strangers from the beyond will talk to you and give you images. Well, oh gosh, I have that happen all the time. And it's not only people who've passed over, it's a lot of my angels, my guides, everything. That's because your mind is in this state where you're not thinking about the worries of the day. You're not busy multitasking your brain, and your brain is gone into a relaxed state. It's just before you go into deep sleep. Now it's and I'm sorry if I'm slurring my words because I have braces, and talk about that another time. But anyway, so if I slur my words a little bit, it's because I've got that going on. But anyway, if you're between the awake and the deep sleep, and that's either when you're falling to sleep or when you're trying to wake up, because I get them both ways. And it's like a meditative state that your brain goes into. And this happens during meditation too. You're not quite asleep and you're not quite awake, but you're in a meditative state. So your brain goes into a meditative state. And that's when it's easiest for Spirit to come in, try to talk to you, give you images and visions and messages, and sometimes full visuals. And it's just like, okay, yeah. So that's what it is. Your brain's in that state in between where it's almost like a meditative state, and it's just like you're an open channel for these spirits to come in, especially if you're gifted. And Catherine, you know you are. She also talks to dead people and other things. So I'm getting a lot of my old school people today. Also, she says she would like a general mini reading. Okay, and so they're going with a different deck with this one. General reading. And spread out the cards. And they said, you are a treasure, my dear. And even though you would like to pass over having troubles and situations, these are things that not only you have to go through, but the people concerned have to do themselves, because these are obstacles and these are lessons that is for them to learn, and for you to have understanding, to listen, to try and give comfort, give advice, and sometimes step back. And they're saying sometimes step back and allow the person to see if they are going to be able to overcome the obstacle. Okay. And then decisions have to be made. So I just talked about that, the decisions that have to be made. If you're going to get in there and help, if you're going to step back. Because sometimes you can't do everything for a person. If you do everything for a person, they aren't going to learn. So they're saying that you have your own healing to do, but so do the other people concerned in your life. They have their own healing to do. If they open a Pandora's box, which is and I'm going to explain it for the audience, because I know Kathy knows what a Pandora's box is. But a Pandora's box is, back in the ancient days, there was this myth that either the Greek or the Roman god, and I'd say Greek. We're going to go with Zeus. And Zeus made this female to protect this box, and her name was Pandora, and she was supposed to protect this box. And the one thing she was supposed to do was never open it. And she didn't know what was inside of it. Curiosity got the better of her. She opened it, and all the horrible things in the world came out of it. And then she slammed it shut, and there was only one thing left, which was hope. Hope is not always a good thing. It depends on the situation. But and we'll discuss that on another time when I decide to talk about hope. But anyway, so other people open a Pandora's box. They have to learn to shut it. Okay? They have to learn to shut it and then to deal with it. And sometimes that's their lesson. You're always there to help them. You're always there to bring them back on their feet. Sometimes it puts you in the position of being a casualty yourself, because it does take from you. And that's unfortunate sometimes. It's just the things that we have to do. And I've got 5 kids of my own, so I know you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to sit back and chill while they work through their issues and their problems. You can only do so much. You can't save everybody. You can't take on their sorrow when it's their sorrow. So I know that you thirst for so much more for the people that you deal with, for the family you deal with. Be proud of their accomplishments, and know that they, even though they may not be accepting of what you do sometimes, that they remember eventually. They remember. And the rest of the family will remind them if they don't. Yeah. It's just like, okay, got a problem with a family member over here, and I know that I have other family members that I would call pit bulls that would just go after them and tell them like it is. So, yeah, and I'm sure you do it in your family as well. Okay, so that was for Catherine. All right, what I'm going to do here is all right. This one is, okay. All right. So that is done with the questions there. And we have more subject matter. So we will bring that up. And in the future, if you listen to the show, please either call in. The call numbers are on www.achieveradio.com, or you can InQuick, or you can enter the chat room, which I don't know if I'm going to use the chat room yet. That's a new option. And I am in Studio A when I do my show. Okay, so what have we got going on here? I have other things. Okay, I had a session where I was called out to do a house clearing. And sometimes when people ask you to come out and do stuff, it's not really what you're there to do. They don't give you the whole story. So I went out to a longtime client's house about once or twice a year. I go out there and deal with a spirit issue or deal with an entity problem or just do a cleanse or whatever. So I expect this is going to be another one of those. They're having some kind of issue with a spirit or something. They didn't give me a whole lot of detail. I get out there, I sit down with them, I look at them, and I'm going, okay. So what is going on? What is going on? And they sat there and they looked at me. They looked at each other and burst into tears. And it's just like, okay. So tell me what's going on. And it turned out it wasn't a clearing. It was other issues that are going on in marriage, the family, and it was causing health problems with the wife, and she was constantly in the hospital. And she's telling me her symptoms. And I went, I'm going to tell you a little story from the 70s. I was married at the time, and I had a child, and I was going to college, and I ended up getting muscle spasms and constant headaches and backaches and just horrible things. And I went to a doctor. The doctor said, and this is another time when you really shouldn't be talking to a psychic. You should talk to a doctor. But the doctor said, get rid of what's causing the problem and the symptoms will go away. And she looked at me and it's like a light bulb turned on. And it's just like, get rid of the issue. They had another person living with them that was causing all kinds of drama and problems. And there was another person that was also a relative that was coming into the house and causing a lot of issues and problems. I said, get rid of the problem. The symptoms will go away. So they did ask the person to move out and ask that person to go move in with the other person that was causing all the drama. And symptoms cleared up. Symptoms cleared up. It's not always a spiritual thing. Did go through and just do a house clearing for general purposes, but after 3 hours of counseling, they got themselves a deal. Okay, I have a message from Pam in Indiana. Thank you for the confirmation in our proddings from Spirit. If you have time, could you do a reading asking Source, the Source is God, about the 18th. The 18th is next Wednesday. Okay, she doesn't say why. That's okay. When I do readings, I prefer cold readings anyway, without the details. Usually with people I do not even know. They'll come up, sit down, and I'll say, don't say a word. Do you want a spirit reading, or do you want... do you have questions? And they say, oh, well, we would like a spirit reading. Just have Spirit tell us, have our angels tell us, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Pam in Indiana. Well, first off, Spirit is telling you to be patient. And if it's anything like what I used to be, I used to hate to be told to be patient. But be patient and sit back and be calm about it, because there are some changes coming. There are some real changes coming, and you may have to hold on tight to those things that you value. Because, well, you're going to have to reinvent yourself and what you are doing. because of what's going on. There seem to be a lot of people who are going to want to, or a few people who are going to want to pressure you one way or another, and you need to make your own decisions, okay? It's all right to share your opinion of what's going on, but listen to what other people have to say. Don't let them pressure you. You want to make a decision on your own, and know that you feel like that you may have to do some moving around, and I'm getting the words moving around as in travel moving around, but you're the master of your own life, so you make the decisions on what you're going to do, okay? And meditate on that also. And we'll see you next week. So thank you for everybody who gave me questions, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Outside the Box.